Happy Sunday, everyone. In under 3 minutes, I'm going to provide some context to attorney Richard Alford, who goes by a country lawyer on TikTok, on YouTube, a video that's going viral. I'm one of the people who helped share it on threads and my platforms. In his video, he gives a framework by which a grand jury, which is ordinary citizens, could criminally indict the 6 Supreme Court justices and arguably Pam Bondi. And then maybe the Donald Trump and the other folks. So here's his theory. His theory is that if there's any currently convened grand jury, you as a grand jury, if you're sitting on a grand jury right now, you have the authority to expand your investigation and subpoena documents and subpoena witnesses related tangentially or sort of connected to what you were initially convened for. So he said no matter what you're convened for, there's implication to the U.S. Supreme Court because they gave Donald Trump criminal immunity to do what he's doing, prospective and retroactive criminal immunity to run and tear. And because they gave him immunity, that's why he's been running through the country doing all bunch of unlawful things, and it's their fault. And so they need to be indicted because they violated their oath to the Constitution, the part that says that you cannot aid anyone who's insurrections. And he says because the Colorado State Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist, they were not supposed to aid him by giving him criminal immunity to allow him to run through the rampart. So it's their fault. So indict them. And also Pam Bondi. How can they do this? And once they get all information, they can actually indict. They're not limited to indict just on who the prosecutors initially brought them to indict. So that's the theory. And then you say, well, who's going to prosecute it? Because Pam Bondi, who is the attorney general, is definitely not going to get any of her prosecutors to prosecute such a case. That's crazy. So I think his theory, I'm putting words in his mouth, and I looked at his YouTube video and several other videos, and this is how I extrapolate this. His theory is that um, the his theory is that then the district court judge, and district court judges have been on our side, they've been ruling in favor of us and against the unlawful Trump administration, even judges appointed by Trump himself, Ronald Reagan, George Bush. Yeah, and the Supreme Court has kind of like let them run the tear, so that's why they're being indicted. And the district court judge could ask for a master to investigate whatever the grand jury discovers, or if it's as to Pam Bondi, who I know should be filed in criminal contempt of violating Judge Jim Boasberg in D.C. The district court judge ordered to not allow the planes that the Trump administration in the middle of the night had 230 Venezuelan men who were not necessarily gang members, but those they were accused, to go get sent to a prison in El Salvador to be tortured for 100 days. He told them don't send that, and they knew he told them don't do it, and they ignored him. I know that because a whistleblower revealed that they knew, and they've done this before. They've done this in several cases with children, with other immigrants, and with people. And the only time they've gotten stopped is when they do it in the daytime because they get caught and people see them. The ACLU runs to the courts. The Supreme Court even had stopped them once. And they try to do children too, and they do it in the middle of the night. They wake these people up and they send them out because they're doing that on purpose, because they don't want to get caught, because they know what they're doing is unlawful. They're that horrible of administration. Can't wait for the Nuremberg type trials. Anyway, so they've been doing this unlawful stuff, and in the Jim Boasberg case, they were found to be held, or they're going to be found to be held in criminal contempt. That case was temporarily paused by a court of appeals. And if he were able to find cause to issue them in criminal contempt, as a district court judge, he has the ability to assign anyone to prosecute the case. He doesn't need to wait for Pam Bondi. He can ask her. She says no. He can assign any prosecutor to prosecute that case. And if it's non-related to that criminal contempt case, whatever the grand jury finds in these other examples, in terms of against the United States Supreme Court, anybody else, he can assign a judge. He or she can assign a special master to do the investigation. Whatever they come up with, it should be something that the attorney general should investigate, especially if it's egregious enough. She may not want to, but we could put pressure on her other ways. Congress, whatever, could pressure on her. And we find so much smoking gun information, insight, evidence. If she does not prosecute, that'd be a true dereliction of duty. She would have to be removed. She should be forced to be resigned. I know she wouldn't. I know Donald Trump wouldn't let her resign, but that's just a scenario. But anyway, the whole thing is the power to the people. I am JJ Legal. I'm in the dockets, like I said. And one of the things I discovered recently is that the Trump administration has had trouble getting the indictments against protesters in Los Angeles and against DC. The grand juries are like, I don't care what you say. I'm not indicting them. Y'all are on some shit. And there's a whole thing you can indict a ham sandwich because there's no lawyers, there's no defense. It's just the prosecutor presenting the evidence. That's why it's easy to indict anyone. you know. But despite the fact it's easy, they've tried over and over and over again, and grand juries keep saying no, 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 no. So a long time ago, I said, not a long time ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, you know what? The power is with the district court, with the grand juries, the district court judges and the grand juries. So the judiciary system can help us to the extent that grand juries still have the power to stop the Trump administration's attempt to weaponize judiciary against people in the resistance, which is the protesters, and the district court judges have also made the attempt to try to stop this run, this tear, this attempted authoritarian coup and takeover in the United States government, and dismantle its representative democracy in all ways possible, and uproot 254 years of precedent and standards, and laws and systems and institutions. In like 9 short months, he's gone through, and they've just destroyed stuff through purposeful, and also because they're inept, and then they're just bumbling through. They're just idiots, and they just act on their emotional, pecuniary, sort of like viral, most like visceral. They're like, I don't know, hormonal sort of urges, and that's it. It's all about Donald Trump's grievance and interest in retribution and punishment. And so they don't even think. They're calling back. They tore through the federal government. They hate him so much, and then they just destroyed it. And then the impact of their destruction we felt in the system, alert systems for weather is not working. We see through all sorts of ways, through the CDC, all sorts of ways that they've dismantled when they first came in the government. We're seeing the impact of that right now. Idiots, because they're stupid. And then we're seeing ineptitude with the Kash Patel, where he's handling this sea cake killing, and we see that with Pam Bondi with her thing about the prosecuting hate speech. Now, I'm not prosecuting hate speech. We see obviously in RFK Jr. We see it in Christy Noem. Now we see it in this guy, Tom Nolan, the freaking uh, guy who takes the bribes. So they're inept. All right. That's it. I hope that was helpful. That was longer than I wanted to do. Be it's 7 minutes long, but hope that's helpful. If you have any further questions, ask below. I went on a couple of tangents. That's what I do. I have a merch line called I Digress. I'm actually moving my merch from Now to another platform, from Printful to another platform, so I can actually have it on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube, easily to access, and also easily to access my I'm also finding an easier way to connect my templates and my case tracker and my Know Your Rights card in another platform, and to make it easier to sell them. Yeah, yeah. Look for that. In the meantime, each one teach one is my motto, meaning each one person teach another person. If we do that, we'll have a more informed electorate body, and people can have more informed decisions. All right, that's it. The video's long enough, 8 minutes. Share this video.